morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to Meditation Mondays. As always, I'm Rev Rich, and I am so grateful for you being here today. And with any of our other episodes or other videos, I ask you to go ahead and subscribe, like, share, so someone who needs this can hear it, as well as to hit that bell so you'll know when another video has been there. I want to thank our new subscribers. We have a few more have joined our ranks, and again, I try to put content out there that's open to everybody. As you know, I am a Unity minister, but the spiritual group here is for anyone and anyone who's looking for maybe just a different way to do things. So one of the traditions that many of the New Thought churches do at the beginning of the year is called returning to basics or back to basics. So that's what my theme is going to be moving forward for the next couple of weeks. I'm going to be using the things that I learned in Unity and other places that have brought me back to zero. You know, a lot of times, excuse me, in life, we have things that happen, things that go on, and we feel defeated. We feel like we're failing. We feel like we're trying to, overcome. And sometimes we take our eyes off of what is good around us. And that's when we talk about the attitude of gratitude. So today, we're going to do a quick centering into the presence, but it's going to be a little bit different. We're not going to spend 20 minutes meditating today. We're going to actually talk about 3 different types of meditation that you can use to start your practice once again. If you are like me, we all get busy, we fall off of our practice, and we forget, when we get back into it, we start to defeat ourselves or we start to beat ourselves up because it's not working the way it did once. And it's only because we're so out of practice. When we talk about unity, we talk about practical Christianity. I'm actually studying for a bachelor's degree in metaphysics, and they call it practical metaphysics because the word practical is basically reminding us that there is something to be done. There is something to practice. So today I want to talk about a few different types of meditation. But before we get started, let's go ahead and center in. So let's just take a quick breath in. Let's hold for a few seconds. And let's just breathe out and hold. Let's breathe in again. A few seconds and hold and let go. Let's hold that. Taking in a last deep breath in and hold. And release. And hold. Let's just return back to that breath. And if you're like me right now, you feel centered in this moment. When we talk about meditation, a lot of people, we look around, we see all these different types of meditation, and there are none that are right, wrong, better than another. They're just practices, and you need to find the practice that works for you. I'm going to give you 3 that I use. There are some that are a little far out. Fire breath is one of those that I use regularly when I need to bring my energy up quickly, but it's not something I would recommend to a beginner. If you know more or want to know more about it, you can definitely look it up. There are videos all over the place that talk to you. There's the Hoff method, which is another breathing technique, which can be very intense, but has its purpose. I am friends with people who are Kundalini masters and yoga masters, and, they have their way of meditating. But the point I want to get across is that all these meditations work in a wonderful and beautiful way in yourself. But in the end, all meditation is to keep us grounded in the presence. See, when we're actually meditating, we're training our minds to let go of the past, let go of the future, and focus in on this moment here. See, all dreams, all manifestations, everything that we can do happens in one place in time, and that's the presence, where there is no back, there is no forward. It's just now. Eric Tolle wrote a whole book called The Power of Now for that reason. When we act from the presence, there's no hurt of the past, and there's no anxiousness of the future. It's just being here. And it is one of the hardest things to get back to because we have a lot of things that happen in our lives. We're still in the midst of a pandemic. We still have a lot of things happening in the world where we react to it, and usually we react to it based on our old programming. As I continue to study the metaphysics, one of the simplest terms they use is the temporary self and the real self. The temporary self is that self of ours, our self-actualized self, where we're taking our information and programming our ground in what society is gearing us up to be. So if society wants to be a certain way, then that's the way it is. If society wants us to look a certain way and we plug into that, that's what we program our mind to see. But when we tap into our real selves, that part of us that is the divine self, it is the spiritual self, it is the intuitive self, then that's where in the presence we begin to understand who we are. So 3 types of meditation, and again, I'm not going to demonstrate it because one of them is literally 20 minutes long, and that's why I'm using the single-use candle here, is one where if you're a visual person, sometimes we want to do meditations that are visual allow us to see ourselves as we truly are. And sometimes it's just because we want to be more intuitive. So the practice is we would take a candle, maybe put it about 6 to 12 inches away from ourselves. And this candle is a little bit low, but normally if we get a candle where the flame is on top, we want to look at the flame for 10 minutes and just nothing else. We want to look at that flame. We're just going to breathe normally, continue to breathe, and look at that flame. We're going to do that for approximately 10 minutes. We don't have to time it again. It could be 5 minutes. It may take longer for you, whatever it is. Then we're going to close our eyes. And if we've done it correctly, we should begin to see in this area, which we call the third eye, as we close our eyes, we'll see a flame there. Now, for some people, that flame may dissipate and begin to bring in images. It may be images of the past, images of the future, and it could be intuitive images that we see now. It may bring up memories, may bring up emotions. But this is the point, is that we're living in the moment. We're trying to get to that point where we can listen to what's going on. Wayne Dyer used to say it's to meditate to get into the gap. And what the gap was is those spaces between our thoughts that would allow us to be more intuitive or more plugged into what we would call the divine mind. So that's one type of practice, and you want to practice that so you can continue to get that visual, get that intuitiveness where we can visualize and see within our own mind's eye what is going on. And we may get messages and pictures. I am big for dream interpretations. Now, does that mean I adhere to everybody's interpretations of the dreams? No, I try to look for emotions. I try to look for significations, and that's what tells me what my dreams are about. Am I right or wrong? I am open to whatever. And that's what the beauty of studying spirituality is that we're open-minded and open-hearted. And a lot of times when we stop looking at what's different and we start looking at what's the same, we start to see the beauty that we're all walking in the same direction. We may take different steps, we may take different paths, but we're all walking in the same direction. With that being said, let's go to our second practice. And it's kind of what I did at the beginning of this meditation. And I've done a video on this before, and it's a 636. Basically is when, like many of us, we get busy. Or if you're working on affirmations and denials, different people call it different things, but it's where denials kind of deny the power that a negative thought and emotion may have over us. We'll release it to affirm who we truly are. So by doing the 636, basically what we're doing is we're breathing in for 6. We're going to breathe into our abdomen. We are then going to hold it for 3 seconds. We're going to breathe out for a count of 6. We're going to hold for 3 seconds, and we're going to repeat that cycle 3 times. So if you ever heard me meditate before, I always like to start with, as we take our first breath, we release the past. As we take our second breath, we release the future. As we take our third breath, we enter more into the presence. And that's basically the same principle, just in a speedy way, is to get yourself centered in this moment. I promise you, if you do that prior to working on affirmations and denials, before listening to something, even studying, you become more focused because you're no longer focusing on the past, present. You're no longer focusing on what's for dinner or what was for breakfast. You're focusing on what you're doing at that moment and staying in the presence. Lastly is just a meditation that I've used for many years. Some people call it centering prayer. Some people have called it transcendental meditation. There are different names for it. But basically, you're going to choose a word or phrase and you're going to enter into a meditative state. So you're going to breathe in a couple of times, get yourself breathing, release the breath. And I like to do it on the out breath. So if I'm focusing on the word peace, so I may breathe in, and in my mind, I'll say peace. And then I'll breathe in again, and I'll keep repeating that word. There's a meditation that I learned from Stephen K. Hayes on show, who taught, and he has it recorded. You can actually purchase it on any MP3 area. And it basically is you're breathing in, you're saying here, and as you're breathing out, you're saying now. But to build on that meditation, as you continue that mantra or that word or that phrase, is that you're going to let it go. And you're going to enter into the silence. And you're just going to listen. And you're just going to breathe. And when thoughts come in, you don't want to beat yourself up. You don't want to do anything. You just want to thank yourself for the thought. Let it go. Some people say they watch it right off on a cloud. Some people have an internal filing cabinet. Say, we'll think about that later. But we want to stay in this moment. And when you find yourself drifting, just return back to that word. And again, it doesn't have to be anything crazy. If you were a practicing Buddhist, you have your Buddhist chants, and each chant has its own meaning. Everybody pretty much knows the Nam Myoho Renge Kyu. When I was studying some of the Tendai Mekkyo, you have the Bodhi Shida Buddha Hara Yami Om. And those are chanted over and over again. But you can literally just use words like love, peace, joy, and put an I am statement in front of it. I am peace. I am joy. Breathe in. I am joy. You're working with the presence. I am here. I am now. And do that for as long as you can. I mean, they say optimally 20 minutes. I've seen some people go as far as an hour. And I've seen some people meditate 5 minutes a day. Your body will tell you what you need. And just make it a practice. And that's the most important part of all of these titles with practical in front of it, is that there is a practice to be done. I promise you, whether it's 5 minutes a day, whether it's long practices if you have the time, whether it's you're going to YouTube to find meditation, whether you join people like our friends over at Soulful Space, where they teach meditation, and your Unity centers also, our affirmative prayer process has meditation in it. Anywhere you go that teaches meditations can be a great teacher and a great outlook for you. But the point is, I want you to practice. So Meditation Mondays, next Monday we'll get back to meditating together. But I wanted to give you a start. So whether you start with the candle meditation and start bringing more affirmativeness to yourself, more focus on the presence, whether you're using the 636, just because this week's going to be kind of busy, but you want that. And that's a perfect one to do a couple of times a day. And then finally, your normal meditation, or I shouldn't say normal, but another version of meditation, where we just repeat the word, release it, and if we fall from that space of quietness and presence, we just bring ourselves back to that. So with that being said, always, I hope that today you took notes, you go and start practicing. Don't wait till next week or next Monday to start practicing. Start today. Start tonight. Start tomorrow morning. Doesn't matter, but just get started. And that's what my theme for this month is, as we go back to the basics, is that we must take the action to truly begin to change ourselves, or as they say, return back to who we truly are. I love you. Nothing you can do about it. And as always, I will see you on our next episode.